Hey, you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the South. More specifically, I'm here at my doctor's office in Waynesville, North Carolina. And yeah, just got my checkup. Like I said, I'm trying to get all my health issues in check, all my doctor's appointments finished. Within this gap of time, because I'm usually, not home for a long period at a time. I was supposed to get all this done in January, but then I have my insurance issues. Now I have insurance. So today was my regular doctor. Tomorrow is my dentist. The day after that is my surgery. And then next week I have my eye doctor appointment. So really running the gambit, getting poked and prodded by all different sorts of doctors. I just did my checkup here with my doctor. Everything's great, so that's good to hear, because a few years ago everything wasn't great with all the traveling. I neglected. I was over 2 years. I skipped doctor's appointments, kept pushing them back with at least 2 full years, if not coming up on 3 years. And my body was an absolute disaster at that point. My diabetes was out of control. I was suffering from undiagnosed sleep apnea, which had damaged my lungs. I was an absolute wreck walking into the doctor's office after 2 years of neglecting that. And yeah, it was one of those things where they got my test results back and they were like, yeah, could you please come in? The doctor would like to have a conversation with you. So pretty scary, but really everything got on track pretty quick. I got on the right diabetes medicine. I got a CPAP for my sleep apnea, and my other numbers that were out of control have all been in control. And I'm still down about 20 pounds from how heavy I was during my unhealthy period. I can actually go back and see my videos from a few years ago and see how unhealthy I looked. So I'm not perfect by any means. I'm not the pinnacle of health. My numbers are all good. I still could lose some weight, but a few years ago, I was not taking good care of myself. So at least taking better care of myself than I was then. So tomorrow, we got to go to the dentist. Today, I wanted to go film. I originally was going to go back over to Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge. We tried to go through the parkway yesterday, but there was closed because of wind. Now again, it is closed today because of wintry weather, probably meaning it snowed up there last night, meaning no passing. I can still technically get there. Technically, you can get anywhere from anywhere, usually, but it would be about a 3-hour drive there, a 3-hour drive back. So I was looking for something a little closer. So I think we're just going to go for a little back roads drive through Appalachia. So please follow me. Check this out. They got a new eyeball sign here for Western Carolina University. Now, they have had a version of this sign since I first moved here in 2000, and I think it dates back even decades before that. Now, if you're coming down the road, coming down this way, you're headed towards Cullowhee, where the college is, you'll see these eyes peering at you, the eyes of the catamount, the mascot of the school. And if you're driving at night, these eyes glow. You don't see the billboard, you just see two giant glowing eyes. I remember Jen, first time she came down here, was absolutely terrified when she rounded that curve there and saw two giant eyes staring back at her from the darkness. Now this is, like I said, it's new, but it's been here. They have redone it. Originally it was a black background with two eyes, and they changed it for a few years where it was more of like a cartoony mascot face. But I like this one a little better than the last. They got the sleek purple. Purple is the school color. You can kind of make out the cat's face, and those eyes are pretty scary. So yeah, an iconic sight for anyone who lives in Western North Carolina. Western North Carolina, by the way, that is the school where I got my social work degree from. And here in Swain County, North Carolina, you have all these kayaks sticking out of the ground here. This is Kayak Ranch. Of course, Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, probably the most famous of the vehicular ranches. But there's a few, Cadillac Ranch has inspired quite a few of these ranches. You have the Slug Bug Ranch that's nearby there, the Combine Ranch. We had an RV ranch in Florida before the local government made them take it down. But here, in this part of North Carolina, of course, outdoor activities very popular, river activities very popular, kayaking very popular. So, as a homage to all the kayaking that occurs in this area, we have North Carolina's own Kayak Ranch. And speaking of kayaks, here is the Nantahala River, where a lot of that kayaking may take place, as well as rafting. Yeah, I've been rafting I haven't been rafting a lot in my life, but I think actually every raft trip I've been on has been here at this river, the Nantahala. Yeah, you can see over here, I guess this is for advanced. Got the little, almost like goals, I guess, that you gotta maneuver through, almost like a little obstacle course. Okay, apparently this is a sport known as canoe slalom. It is, I guess, played in the Olympic Games. Here is E.B., a Bryson City native, competed in the 2020 Olympic Games. So yeah, it says you gotta make your way through the little goals here. Apparently the green goals are for when you're going that way. When you're going against the river, you gotta go through the red goals. Interesting. Not a lot of people out rafting today. It's not really rafting season, but it'd be interesting to come watch people play this sport. And speaking of the Olympics, it was back in the 90s when they had the Atlanta Olympics that they did a lot of changing to this area. They used these rivers for some of the Olympic competitions. So as I've mentioned, I have rafted the Nantahala in the past. Not a big outdoor sports kind of person, but it became kind of a family tradition, a short-lived family tradition when we used to do our family reunions over here in this part of North Carolina. Me, my mom, my stepdad, my brother, my sister, my kids, we would all pile in a raft and raft down this river. All the rafting companies are down that way. They get you set up, put you in the river, then they drive their bus down there to pick you up when you're done. As you can see, it's a pretty easygoing river. It gets a little rougher than this in certain patches. This is actually the first landing where you can get out. The reason there is a first landing is because the only real hard part, there's a small waterfall right past here that is considered the most advanced part of the rafting area in the river. So, you know, if you weren't feeling like going over the big drop, you could get off here. Of course, we always went for the big drop. We as a family like that. You know, it's tricky because you got to get all coordinated. You got to get lined up just perfect and head down. Otherwise, disaster could occur. Yeah, as you can see down here, it gets a little rougher. There is rocks right under the surface. There is a little bit of white water, but for the most part, a fairly easy trip until you get down to the grand finale. And this is the final drop here. This is where my last ever rafting trip came to an unfortunate end. We were coming this way, and there's different accounts on what exactly went wrong, but one of the leading theories is standing right here on this platform was Annabelle and my ex-wife, who had decided not to go rafting. Annabelle saw us, she started waving, and everyone was like, "Hey, Annabelle!" Everyone's waving, "Yay, Annabelle!" And right as we're getting ready to go over this cliff. So people are not paying attention to the rowing, not paying attention to the directions. My brother Dan still was paying attention, and he was shouting at everyone to start paddling, to straighten the boat out. But everyone was mesmerized with cute little Annabelle up here waving to everyone. And then we got stuck right there on that rock. Yeah, we couldn't get off. We were wiggling, trying to find our way off, and then the boat tipped a little bit. They were still trying to straighten up, and then within a second, completely caught me off guard, the boat flipped, dumping us all into this waterfall here. So I was underwater there, submerged. I remember being underwater. I remember, remember coming up. I had the life jacket on, so I remember my breath of air. And of course, everyone was scattered to the wind on that boat were my mom, my stepdad, my brother, my sister, and my son, James. And everyone scattered in different directions. Down here, my brother and Dan, they were the only two that managed to stay near each other. Dan had grabbed onto James's life jacket to try to help him. And then down here, they were trying to stand up, trying to get out of the river. But every time they stood up, and the water was like ankle deep, knee deep at the most, and the water keeps whipping their feet out from underneath them because it's such a strong current. You cannot stand in this water. You can't just stand up straight. So their legs were getting swept out underneath them by the water, and I watched them. Dan would stand up, he'd fall down. James would stand up, he'd fall down. Dan would stand up, he'd fall down. James would stand up, he'd fall down. Because apparently Dan and James were panicking, or either that or they didn't listen to the guide. Now I paid close attention. I was scared. Honestly, I was nervous about what might happen. So when the guide was talking about what to do if something went wrong, I was paying attention. And the guide told us, do not try to stand up in the water. You cannot stand up in the water. They forgot that part. So what he said is you float with your life jacket, you put your feet out in front of you, and you hold your head up out of the water. He said you might break a toe, break your leg, break your ankle, but that's better than breaking your head. And I remember popping up and remember the scene in Star Wars where the deceased Obi-Wan Kenobi talks to Luke, gives him instruction, tells him how to survive. That's what it was like. I heard the voice of the rafting instructor telling me, keep your legs out in front of you, float on your bottom, keep your head up. And so I did that. I put my feet out in front of me, and it's kind of scary because you are going really fast. There's rocks, you're like being lifted up, you're hitting rocks with your rear end, with your feet, with your legs. but you're being propelled down there. Dan and James forgot that, so they just kept trying to stand up and being wiped out. Now my stepdad Keith, he had found some footing over there, and you know, if you get in like a little nook there, you can kind of stand up. So he stood up, he was looking around, he saw me, he saw my sister, he saw Dan and James, but he did not see my mom. So he was standing over there screaming at the top of his lung, "Terry! Terry!" He was absolutely horrified something had happened to my mom. Now my mom ended up being the luckiest one. So when we were all being swept down that way, my mom somehow cut down over here into the shallow water and was able to simply stand up and walk out of the water. I think she may have came up these stairs, so no one saw her come up here, so everyone was freaking out, didn't know where she was. Seemed like a long time, probably just a matter of minutes or seconds, but Keith was obviously very relieved when he found my mom. And Keith had some gnarly black toes. I think he might have busted his toes on the rocks. So yeah, that was the last time that we ever did our big family rafting trip. Now this here is the photo area. So the photographers sit down here and take photos of you as you're going over the waterfall here. It's the most beautiful part. So you get spectacular views of the families careening down. Fortunately for us, the wreck of our raft was well documented. Now, I had a great time rafting with my family. It really was, honestly, very, very fun. Am I ever going to do it again? Probably not. Next year, my brother and sister went, but I just couldn't. I was still a little traumatized. And now, just with my health and mobility, I think I might be past the point of wanting to go over that waterfall. And these are fairly rare, but you do still find them some places here in the Western Carolina mountains. These little wooden suspension bridges that go over the river. There's a few of these that are still around that are not in very good condition, probably in the condition that you would not want to cross over them. This one actually looks like it is maintained, so we can step out. Oh, and they do got a good bounce to them. Yeah, it says it's a limit of 4 people at a time on the bridge. So you get a good bounce here. Woo! Now look at that. Out in the middle of the river. It's also a really good place to watch the rafts go by, watch the kayaks go by, and you know, if they need something, you can drop some supplies from the bridge into the rafts. Now look how clear that is. You can see straight to the bottom. Now, one interesting thing about this bridge is that it really doesn't go to anywhere. You wind up here on the railroad tracks. Now, this is an active railroad track. This is where the Smoky Mountain Railroad comes through. It's a tourist railroad that gives you a scenic tour of the mountains. I've never actually been on the railroad here. It's been something on my to-do list for years and years. Just never made it on. I'm going to try to make it a point this year at some point to ride this railroad. After all, it is the year of planes, trains, and automobiles here on the Carpetbagger channel. But that, again, brings me back to the fact, what is this bridge for? Like, why do you need to get from the road to the train track? I mean, shouldn't ideally you stay away from the train track? But I don't know, maybe there is a path or some hiking trails back here or something that people would need access to. Maybe it's in case the train breaks down, someone can cross the bridge and help fix the train. But again, not sure the purpose of the bridge to the train tracks. Yeah, see, the bridge capacity limited to 4 persons. Yeah, you can see the bridge moving, how much it moves. Yeah, you can see down here is where all the rafting companies are, where you can get yourself put on a raft. I guess up this hill is the Lodge, a rafting hotel. Here we see this rafting bus advertising the Lodge. And who is driving? But of course, a chainsaw carved bear with an American flag, or a Barracan flag, if you will. We've got sorts of fun bumper stickers here on the truck. Brake for moose, it could save your life. This is not an abandoned vehicle. Oh, they're Jimmy Buffett fans too. On the other side, we got Mama Bear and Baby Bear hanging out the side window. Yeah, you can see all these buses here. These are all rafting buses. We have stopped off here in the small town of Murphy, North Carolina. You see the beautiful and ornate Cherokee County Courthouse here in Murphy. And if it all comes crashing down, just flock here to the courthouse. They do have a fallout shelter. And I think we're going to stop here at the Cherokee County Historical Museum. Last time I was here, they had something very interesting. And just in front of the steps here, we have this carved stone turtle. It says this is an ancient carving that was found nearby this area. And they do have a lot of farming equipment in here. You can see strewn out through the museum different items used for farming. And we saw the stone turtle out front. And they actually do have a lot of Native American or pre-Native American carvings. You can see this head right here. That's pretty interesting. A Thunderbird effigy. Legend of the giant Thunderbird lives in the mountains. And a little miniature version of a locomotive. A barber chair there. So a lot of the items here donated by locals. So yeah, kind of a community collection. You can see the Jane Parker 99 cents 1 pound of potato chips. Some old soda bottles here. This is Old Colony Beverages. It actually says Orange Crush Company, Chicago. So I wonder what Old Colony tastes like. And then Prince Albert in a can, a favorite of phone pranksters. They used to call people and say, "Do you have Prince Albert in a can?" And they would say, yes, yes, we do. And they say, well, you better let him out. And then they would laugh maniacally and hang up the phone. And you can see these are called doogaloos. They are coins that can only be used at a specific store. It said that, so basically your employee, these coins here known as doogaloos, they can only be used to buy things at one place. So your boss would pay you in doogaloos, but you can only spend the doogaloos at the company store, which your boss also owned. So basically a way to keep you indebted. You can only, basically the money your boss gives you can only be paid to your boss, kind of a tactic for keeping workers in control. Here's other local currencies. And here's their guns collection. Got some smaller ones up there. Oh, and look at those traps up there. Definitely wouldn't want to step in one of those. Oh no, that poor possum got caught. Then over here we have classroom and school items, chairs and desks. And then this is interesting. This is a pre-Braille Bible. So it says 1842. So this is meant for seeing impaired people to be able to read the Bible. But Braille wasn't invented yet. So it's just the words of the Bible, but they're raised. So you can just feel the words with your fingers. I don't know if you guys can see that. But yeah, the raised words. Some medical items. Oh, there's the bedpan. We have the eye doctor's tools here, and some different old glasses. Look at these over here. That blue and red one are those old 3D glasses? Yeah, looking at these old glasses is interesting. And look at like these big plastic ones over here. When I was a kid, I remember older people, older ladies in the 80s and 90s would wear glasses like this. Now it's come full circle where these larger glasses like this, these large plastic glasses, are actually being worn by young people again. All these gnarly dental tools meant for ripping and pulling your teeth. I think these are for making dentures. You can pick which teeth you like best, form them into dentures. Here's Barry Williams' collection of matchbooks, which is pretty cool. There is a lot of matchbooks there. I guess you've been collecting them. But yeah, you look at all these different businesses. You can see it's almost like a time capsule. There's probably a lot of these businesses not around anymore. I don't know. I don't use matches for anything. So I wonder, is there still places still print out matches with their names on it, the custom matchbooks? Is that still a thing? The second match orb here. The Hard Rock Cafe. There's Willie's Barbecue. That's a barbecue place over in Franklin. Trying to see if there's any others that I recognize. Yeah, they have the addresses on them. The Parthenon Restaurant in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The Thunderbird Hotel and Convention Center. This is in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So yeah, it's almost like this gentleman, Barry Williams. It's almost like a diary of his life. All the places he went, all the matches he took, and apparently he didn't actually use the matches. He just saved them. Some law enforcement items here, and one thing Murphy's probably maybe even best known for is this man right here. A little bit of true crime with Eric Rudolph, the Olympic Park bomber. He also bombed abortion clinics and went on the run, was missing for years and years. There was a nationwide manhunt, and he was located here in Murphy, eating out of a dumpster. You can see, I guess this is his jumpsuit and jail shoes there. And then this is the uniform of Jay Postal, who was the rookie cop that found Eric Rudolph. They said he found him eating out of the trash, I guess he recognized him, and Rudolph went with him without a fight. So, yeah, pretty remarkable that a nationwide manhunt ended with a quiet encounter by a dumpster. And the camera collection here is pretty cool. Love the old cameras. You know, part of me wants to go back to shooting on film, go back to using these old cameras, but man, it is a whole art form. You know, these weren't as easy to use as the camera I'm using, as the camera on your phone that just automatically takes amazing pictures. These required work. You know, it's true artistry. And I even wonder sometimes, for a living, I film videos, and I use equipment that is really high tech and really makes it easy to make quality videos. You often wonder if I would have been able to do this in a time where, it required so much work and so much artistry. It kind of makes me think a little bit about how AI is being used now, and how AI gives people the ability to make art with just a few keystrokes, and how in some ways it leaves the true artists behind. I wonder if, as they made more advanced cameras, such as the one I use, that it left some of the real artists in photography, in videography behind, because it became so easy to take great pictures and video. Some musical instruments here: hand-carved fiddle, tin can banjo, such as a homemade banjo made out of a old tin can. And then we have over here some musical spoons. Kind of reminds me of Abby the Spoon Lady. There's an old vintage phone booth here, the wooden phone booth. See the doll collection here. You have cornhusk dolls, which were kind of a local tradition. I remember, dealing with cornhusk dolls when I worked at the museum at Western Carolina, my college. I actually had to photograph some old cornhusk dolls. Oh, look at this green monkey over here. Yeah, look at these dolls. They have dead eyes, black, like a shark's eyes. And then here's the shrunken apple head dolls, where they would let an apple dry and shrink, turn black, and then make it into a doll. Some antique phones. And look at this. Up here we have a Elvis Presley phone that dances when it rings. Just gonna head downstairs from there. Now, probably the most famous artifact here at this museum is this: the moon-eyed people, as they are called. This is a carving that was found in 1840, but wasn't put on public display until 2015. Now, there's different theories on what this may be portraying. Some people feel that maybe ancient aliens that had some of the characteristics of the traditional gray alien, but the general consensus and what most people believe is that this is a representation of the moon-eyed people. Now, the moon-eyed people were a separate race of people that lived in ancient times. The Native Americans told stories of them, saying that they were not Native Americans. They were a completely different race of people with pale white skin and large, super sensitive eyes. It said that because their eyes and skin were so sensitive that they could actually not come out during the day and would come out at night. One of the reasons they called them the moon-eyed people. But also it was said that they wouldn't come out during a full moon because their eyes were so sensitive to light that even the full moon blinded them. And there's tales of them actually having wars with the Cherokee. The Cherokee have certain structures and buildings that the Cherokee claim they themselves did not build, but were in fact built by the Moon-Eyed people that, again, operated as a complete separate entity. And there's different theories on who the Moon-Eyed people were. Were they from another world? Were they, just a race of people lost to time? Some people think they were European settlers that came back far earlier in history than previously thought. But this is this artifact's very cool. Just kind of giving you a glimpse into what may have been the Moon-Eyed people. In addition to the Moon-Eyed people, they also have a very large collection of fairy crosses. These are rocks found all throughout the Smoky Mountains. And the legend is, what the Cherokee say is that when Jesus Christ died, the fairies that lived here in the mountains, the fairies, they cried, they wept when they heard the news of Jesus dying, and their tears formed these crosses. Of course, crosses of the crucifixion formed by the fairies' tears. And there really is a lot of compelling stories when you go back through Cherokee lore about this area, about who lived here, what kind of people or creatures or beings lived here, the Moon-Eyed people, the fairies that some say still live here in the Smoky Mountains. There's legends of the little people that lived in tunnels underground that were, again, the Cherokee considered them a separate race. So these stories are very fascinating. Just thinking, what happened to these beings? Are these beings still here? Are they hiding? Just very interesting to think about. And lots of spear and arrowheads. I've told this story before on this channel, but kind of like a big key memory in my childhood was going out with my grandfather looking for arrowheads. They would in Indiana, when they would till the fields, the cornfields, in preparation for planting, and that's when my grandpa would go out and look for arrowheads. And I remember being out with him. I'd seen his arrowheads that he'd collected, but he took me out with him, and I remember him stopping dead in his tracks, reaching down into the dirt and extracting a perfectly formed arrowhead, and then handing that to me. It was just such a magical moment. I knew the arrowheads existed. They seemed impossible to find, and to just see him find that and hand it to me, that perfect arrowhead. I thought arrowheads were such magical things. I thought having an arrowhead was so special. I kept it like in a tiny little box next to my alarm clock because it was so important to me. And then I remember years later, as an adult, when I went to college, I got a job at the museum there. And, a lot of what I would do would be sorting through stuff in the back, labeling things, counting things, seeing what was there, what wasn't. And they told me to go sort the arrowheads. So I went back, and there was these size of 2 gym lockers. So basically an entire filing cabinet that I opened up, and literally there was egg crate after egg crate, the big egg boxes full of arrowheads, literally buckets and buckets and buckets of arrowheads. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, well, I guess arrowheads aren't as rare as I thought they were. It was just a major bummer when I realized that in the back of the museum, not even on display, they had thousands and thousands and thousands of arrowheads. Maybe, the Native Americans used a lot of arrowheads, but it still doesn't diminish the magic that I felt when my grandpa picked up that arrowhead. Yeah, case in point, look at all these arrowheads. But it's here. Not going out here today, but we could go back and check on Judicaula Rock. This is another ancient mystery ancient local mysteries, much like the moon-eyed people, this mysterious carvings, mysterious petroglyphs in this rock that is on display over near Silva, North Carolina. And they do have a large exhibit here on the Trail of Tears, when the Native Americans were pushed out of their homelands. I think it's actually like an official historical spot, because the Trail of Tears ran right by this area. And again, just an absolutely disgusting act by the U.S. government, taking these people out of their homeland that they had lived for generation upon generation, and marching them out to unfamiliar area. It's just there's just no justifying that. There's just no candy coating that. It absolutely disgusting. Masks up here of all the different Cherokee clans: the Bird Clan, the Deer Clan, the Long Hair Clan, the Wild Potato Clan, the Paint Clan, the Wolf Clan, and the Blue Clan. The traditional Cherokee home over here. The folks over at the museum said that there's actually some more exhibits here inside of the courthouse. Okay, so we can head down here and look for some of the museum artifacts. Okay, looks like they have little nooks here with different items in them. Oh, there is some salt and pepper shakers. Yeah, the cabinets are just kind of like spread out through the courthouse here. There is some Native American stickball sticks. Stickball, very impressive sport if you ever get a chance to watch it. Got some more dolls down here. Oh, look at that little E.T. And some more Prince Albert in a can. They said there were some upstairs as well. Looks like there's some photographic displays in here, different places around Murphy. Oh, look at this. You can look down onto the lobby from the circle in the floor. What would you call that? I was going to say rotunda. Is this... Yeah, I guess this is considered a rotunda. I was just in the Texas State Capitol. Their rotunda's much bigger, but I think it's still a rotunda. Got some more doogaloos over here. I think a lot of this is, this is kind of like a sampling of what the museum's collection has. There's old Sears and Roebuck catalog from 1902. That's probably when you could literally buy a house that you just have to put together like Lego blocks out of a Sears catalog. We have some old train cars over here. We're trying to pay closer attention to the various trains that I come across. This one says City of Murphy on it. And I did notice over here, it looks like the railroad actually comes to an abrupt end. So the railroad ends right here. Oh, it looks like... Okay, look at this. So the railroad ends here. I guess it used to cross over the river here. But if you look, the bridge is out. Looks like that used to be a railroad bridge across the river. And now it's just a couple of stanchions standing out in the middle. And over here, I guess this is a warning for the train track. Of course, that's some really good advice. Stop, listen, and look, because no one wants to be crushed by a train. It looks like a little river walk over here. Wait. To the Leech place? What's the Leech place? That sounds horrible. Okay. I gotta figure out what this Leech place is. If it's just like a pit full of leeches or something. I guess we just walk alongside the railroad track here, and it will take us to the Leech place. Say, railroad bridge up here. Okay, it looks like there's no crossing the railroad bridge here. It says state-owned property, no trespassing. But it does look like there is a trail that goes underneath down here. Oh yeah, here we go. Just cut underneath the bridge here. Okay, there we go. We're coming up on Leech Place. And we have made it to Leech Place. And believe it or not, Leech Place is the home of a Cherokee legend, a cryptid, the giant leech of Tulanusi was said to lurk here in the river. It says there's a rock ledge, and you can see the rock ledge. It's underwater, but if you look closely there, you can see there is a rock ledge that leads you to the other side. So the Cherokee would use that rock ledge to get to the other side there of the river. But it is said that sometimes they would see a giant red and white leech basking on the ledge there. And they said the leech lived in a deep hole. Apparently there legitimately is a deep hole near the rock wall where the leech is said to live. It's very interesting how it describes the leech attacks here. It said that it would curl up and stretch out, then disappear into the deep water hole below. The water would begin to boil and foam, then a great column of white spray would move high in the air and back down again, sweeping people in its path on the rock ledge down into the deep hole. So the leech would dive into the hole, spray water, knocking people off the ledge into the hole, where it says most were never seen again, but the bodies of some were found laying on the banks of the river with their nose and ears eaten off. So the great leech would chew off their nose and ears. I don't know if he lived entirely on noses and ears. I guess he's a leech, so he'd probably suck the blood from their bodies and leave them disfigured and washed up on shore. Now it is said that some people still believe that the great leech still lurks down there right in front of us. So this is pretty cool. I literally just stumbled upon a local cryptid I saw the trains, stopped to see the trains, saw the sign for Leech Place, investigated, and I found a cryptid. I was gonna say I found the leech. I didn't see the leech, but I stumbled upon this legend. And I did a little bit of research on my own, and the giant leech actually ties in to the story of the Moon-Eyed People. That is said that the Moon-Eyed People could never cross this river because they were deeply terrified of the leech, because the leech would feast on the Moon-Eyed People. And it is said that the statue that we saw earlier, the statue that was uncovered in 1840, was actually uncovered here. There's two rivers that meet let's see, it's the Hiawassee River and the Valley River meet in this area. So it said that statue, the carving of the Moonite people, was actually found in this area. So there is a connection between the Moonite people and the giant leech. And so yeah, I came out here to Murphy. I thought maybe we'd stop to see the Moonite people today, and ended up coming across a whole new, I was talking about in the museum the different legends here in North Carolina, the Cherokee legends, and came here to see the Moonite people, and talked about some of the other legends, and then just stumbled upon this legend that I was not previously aware of, the Great Leech of Tulanusi that lurks down there. Now, it does say some of the more skeptically minded people believe that the color there, the red clay and the rock formations, may in themselves resemble a red and white giant leech down there in the water. But you know, who are we to say? Who are we to say? Who are we to dispute the legends of the Great Leech of Tulanusi? So a fun little impromptu trip today. I woke up, had my doctor's appointment early this morning, wanted to do something afterwards. I couldn't, you know, wanted to go over to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area, but alas, 441 was closed due to weather. Weren't able to do that, or at least wasn't able to do that in a reasonable amount of time. Would have taken an extra couple hours to get over there, taking the back way. And so I kind of looked at different stuff to do in the area, settled on coming out in this direction. Thought, yeah, we'd see the Moonite people, which has always fascinated me ever since I went over there when it first put it on display back in 2015, I believe. And yeah, I loved the legend. I thought, yeah, today, maybe let's go over to Murphy. We'll stop by, say hello to the Moonite people, see what else happens. And alas, stumble upon a brand new cryptid. Not brand new cryptid, a brand new to me cryptid. A cryptid that I had never heard of, that I had never been introduced to. So, always exciting. A day where I learn about a new cryptid is always an exciting day. So thank you for coming along with me on this adventure. Tomorrow, I have my dentist appointment. I have to get my teeth looked at. So hopefully, if I'm not in too much pain after that, we can just see what's happening, maybe go somewhere else. Maybe I'll take the day off, just depending on how I feel after my dentist appointment. And then the day after that is the big appointment. But thank you guys so much for coming along with me, following along with me on these adventures, coming along with me today. It absolutely means the world to me. I greatly appreciate the support. If you do like these videos, though, please consider subscribing. I travel around the country. I film roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, haunted houses, and other fun random stuff. I've been to the 48 contiguous United States and plan on, within the next year or two, making that a even 50. If you'd like to help out the channel in other ways, consider contributing to Patreon. $3 or more will get you a postcard once a month from me to you. I also sell enamel pins in the Etsy shop, as well as press pennies, motel key fobs, and stickers. If you'd like to receive a personalized message from me, for yourself, for a friend, for a family member, you can do that on Cameo. All the information for that is in the description of this video, as well as links for everything else. And all those things help keep this train on the track, this leech in the water, and this dirigible in the air. Until next time, my friends, this one's in the bag.